Hey, thanks for joining me today. You're here because you got a new job. Congratulations. That's a wonderful news. I'm so happy for you. Now that you have the job, what kind of things do you need to be thinking about? I'm Dee Dee Jones with Innovative Financial, answering your financial questions in plain English, trying to make it easy for you. So let's jump right in. You've got a new job. What kind of things do you need to think about now? It could be that you were unemployed and you got a new job. It could be you left a previous employer and have a new job. We'll talk about both of those situations. And the first thing we need to talk about is cash flow. Has your income changed substantially? It might impact your ability to save for and reach those goals that you have. So it's a good time to sit down and look at what the changes are. If your financial needs are going to change, say you're commuting farther or maybe even having to move, it's time to update your plan, your spending plan or budget, as people like to call it. With a new job, you're going to have different employer-provided benefits, and it could be that you have big changes in what those are. So it could be in individual disability coverage. Important to know what the changes are so you can plan. If the new employer has benefits that are missing, so they are not offering the benefits that you're used to and are valuable to you, there might be a way to replace those individually. Big change is health coverage. I'm just sure that no two companies have the same health coverage. Learn about what the new coverage is, who it's going to cover. You may need to choose new doctors. Find out if your doctors are covered. There may be a gap between health coverage between the old company and the new company. See if you can fill that gap with COBRA coverage. I know it's expensive, but it makes sure that you have familiar coverage in place, and hopefully it's not too long because you already have a new job. Also related to that, maybe you had an HSA at the old company and the new one has one too. You have the option of moving that money from the old HSA company to the new company where you're going to be. You also have the option to move to an independent third party if you so choose. Let me know. I can tell you more about that separately. FSA, so that's a flex spending account. That's where you put the money in and you say, all right, so it's a couple $1,000s, and you know that you're going to spend it either on health expenses. There's also one for childcare. That's a use it or lose it proposition. Be sure that you use that money before you leave your employer if you're leaving, and know that at the new employer you can do if they have a flex spending account FSA, you can contribute to that. There are independent limits on those two plans, so you can, if it works out and you switch in the middle of the year, you can max out both plans, which can work well for some folks. It's kind of fancy dancing. So retirement plans. How about 401k? If you had one at the old company, what do you do with it? We have another video. Should I roll my 401k over? Because you could leave it where it is, roll it over to your own IRA, or perhaps, not always, roll it to the new company's 401k. If you've got a retirement plan with the new employer, first of all, please enroll as quickly as you can and consider contributing at least enough to get the employer match, but probably more. I refer back to the cash flow and future planning we talked about. Now, if you're leaving a company where you had stock options, there's a few things to talk about. If you have any unvested options, you're likely to lose those. If you have vested stock options, it's real important you read the plan documents so you understand when you can exercise those options. Sometimes you can't do it till 3 months after you've left the company. Sometimes you have to do it before you terminate. Here's the kicker. If you were terminated for cause, there's a good chance that your vested stock options will be canceled. So hopefully that's not the case for you. If you have deferred comp with your former company, make sure, again, you look at those plan documents so that you know what that vesting schedule is, as well as the distribution schedule and whatever distribution options might be available to you. Might be yearly, might be a lump sums. Definitely big tax implications on that. And did you own stock or stock options in a private company for which you were also employed? Look at those shares and research, find out what the implications are, because those are typically rather illiquid. And check to see if there's any clawback or repurchase rights by the company if you own those. So specialized situations there, but can have a big impact if you don't manage them well. Let's talk about tax. Besides some of the stock option issues that we talked about, or even the deferred comp, just general tax can change. If you've got a big change in salary, it could be larger, could be smaller, you might have a big difference in your tax liability at the end of the year, which leads to how do you set up the withholding, the amount of withholding that you should elect. You can run the calculators online to say, here's what my income's going to be, and so this is what withholding I should choose. If you find it's more complicated than that, definitely reach out to an expert to help calculate that for you. There's really nothing worse than writing a check to the IRS at tax time. I don't know why that is. We don't like writing those checks, but those are just some of the hardest. And a couple other uncategorizable topics. If you are subject to a non-solicitation or non-compete agreement with the former employer, be sure to keep a copy of that agreement safe in a safe place in case that ever rears its head in the future. And finally, if you're still paying on your student loans, which I know is going to be a lot of you, it's so many of us that had dealing with that, there's several things to consider. First of all, check with the new employer. They may offer student loan repayment assistance. Some new tax law makes that favorable for them to do so. So definitely check on that. If you're eligible for the PLSF or the teacher loan forgiveness, see if the new employer will help you continue in that program. Could be that you're part of the income dependent repayment program, IDR. I'm not going to try and say that again. Be sure to update your records because you're going to need to update the lenders on what your new income is, and that too is going to have an impact on your payments. And adjust your payments and perhaps consider consolidating or refinancing if that's the right thing for you. Be sure to don't just do that blindly. That can have really big implications to your loans. Could be the right thing, but make sure it's the right thing before you jump on that bandwagon. It might not be worth it, even if your loan payment is lower. So if you got a new job, these are a lot of things to think about, lots of really important things to think about. Hope we've helped you consider and help empower you as you make this change to the new job. And again, congrats on the new job. Have a great day.